Good evening, everyone. I'm Ankit, and you're watching the Indian Express analysis, which goes live every day at 4 p.m. on StudyIQ IS English channel. Today, we are going to discuss important articles that have appeared in the newspaper, and we'll start our today's discussion by the most famous port that has been present today in India, that is the Vizhinjam port. Now, Vizhinjam port is located in Kerala, and it is in news because Prime Minister today has gone to Kerala specifically to inaugurate this port. Now, where is it located? Why is it important from India? Everything we are going to discuss in addition to the legality of this port. Whether this port is owned by Government of India or by Government of Kerala, we'll understand in our today's discussion. Now, any important port which is a part of infrastructure, therefore it is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective. Okay. Then in the second article, we'll be understanding about a body known as Financial Action Task Force. Why is Financial Action Task Force news? Because the Government of India is trying to approach this FATF body so as to register Pakistan again as a grey listed country. Now you understand the FATF body primarily deals with anti-money laundering as well as anti-terrorist financing. So, India wants to enlist Pakistan because Pakistan is a perpetrator of terrorism. It finances terrorist activity so as to disturb other countries like India. So, that is why India is trying to restrict the ability of the government of Pakistan, its deep state, particularly the Pakistani army, to finance terrorist activities in India. So it has approached FATF, and it is also expected that India is going to approach IMF as well. So we are going to cover today both FATF and IMF in our today's discussion, which makes it relevant from GS paper 2 perspective because these are international organizations. Also, if you look at FATF, it is also important from internal security perspective because it deals with anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing. Okay. Now, in the third article, we'll be understanding that a WAVE summit is being organized currently in Mumbai. Prime Minister Modi yesterday went to Mumbai to address this summit. What this summit is all about, why is government holding this summit, and what are its importance, particularly for Indian economy, this we are going to understand. Now, this is also relating to art and culture. Therefore, the relevant paper for this particular summit is GS paper 1 and GS paper 3. Right? Give me a second. I will adjust this. Okay. Yeah. Now, in the fourth article, we'll be understanding about the National Security Advisory Board because 2 days before the meeting to Cabinet Committee on Security happened and the new members of this particular body has been appointed. So, what this NSAB actually does, which organization of the Government of India does this organization functions, all of this we are going to understand, and this is something relevant from GS paper 2 perspective and also from paper 3 perspective because it is a part and parcel of Prime Minister's office. What kind of members does this body include? Everything we are going to cover in our today's discussion. In the fifth article, we'll be understanding about a very key historical figure in the Maratha Confederacy, that is Raghuji Bhonsle. Now, his sword was actually auctioned in London and the government of Maharashtra actually bought this particular sword, which is relevant from the art and culture perspective and also from the history perspective because the Bhonsles, they were actually the part of Maratha Confederacy and were responsible for extension of Maratha Empire towards the eastern and central part of India. So, that is why the contribution of Raghuji Bhonsle and in general the Bhonsles in expansion of Maratha Confederacy will understand, which makes it relevant from GS paper 1, that is modern history perspective. Okay. And in the last article, we'll be understanding about a very famous saint from Karnataka, that is Jagadguru Basaveshwara, because his birth anniversary was celebrated only recently and Prime Minister Modi extended his wishes to the people of Karnataka on the birth anniversary of Jagadguru Basaveshwara, who is also known as the originator of the Lingayat sect in the Karnataka. So, we'll understand his teaching and also we'll try to solve some questions that have modeled on a previous year question of 2022. Because Prime Minister Modi went to 2 different places in 2022 and we saw in the exam of 2022 itself, questions or 2 questions were asked on this particular visit of Prime Minister. So, when Prime Minister marks or visits any particular ancient monument or any discusses about any particular historical personality, that automatically makes it important from a prelims perspective. And as prelims are quite near, so we can't afford to lose out on such important articles that are there in the newspaper, right? So these are the 6 articles that we are going to cover today. Last one also is important from art and culture perspective. So the relevant paper is GS paper 1. Understood? Now, good evening, Kusum, Augustine, Priyalata, Vaishnavi, Office Data, Tara, okay. Baga Spinks, Bhanu Kumar Gupta, good evening all of you. Now the notes for this session, you know it already, it will be available on ATS Live channel, which is on Telegram. So you can search ATS Live on the top right hand corner of your app, and alternatively you can scan this QR code also. This will take you directly to the Telegram channel. I upload the notes of every session that I take on YouTube there, and I also post the link so that you can refer to any sections. Also, there's a attached group to it called as ATS Live Discussion, where you can use that group to solve your doubts. You can ask the questions to me and also to your fellow aspirants. Many of them are helpful. They will actually help you to solve your doubts, which is very important from our exams perspective. Okay. Now, good evening, Reshma, Priyanka, good evening. Now, this is, if you look at the Delhi edition of the Indian Express newspaper, on the very front page, which does not have any news, it is an advertisement by Government of Kerala. It states that the future docks in Kerala, Vizhinjam port, it will be open to global gateway for India. And who is going to inaugurate it? It will be inaugurated by Prime Minister of India, and it will also be present as the Chief Minister of Kerala, Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan. So this is why this kind of a port and its inauguration is very important for Indian economy. So borrowing this advertisement, we are going to cover details about the Vizhinjam port. Okay. Now, the discussion of this Vizhinjam port is that today on May the 2nd, Prime Minister Modi is on an official visit to Kerala, where he'll inaugurate this multi-purpose seaport project, which is slated to emerge as a key hub in the Asia-European shipping route. How it will emerge as a key Asia-Europe shipping route, I'll tell you the reason, okay. And this project has been executed by Adani Ports and SEZ Private Limited on public-private partnership, which is based on design, build, finance, operate and transfer model, DBFOT model. Now, the trial run for this port, it began last year in July, and the commercial operations, it followed months later, and only 2 months back, we saw one of the world's largest ship, which is a Turkish origin ship, it docked on this particular port, highlighting its importance, right? So in this regard, let us understand the important facts about the ports. Okay, now this Vizhinjam port is a port which is owned by Government of Kerala, and it is designed primarily to cater to container transshipments besides multi-purpose and break bulk cargo. Now, you know what is container transshipment. Now, what happens in the big ports, they only have the ability to handle big cargo ships that can carry about thousands and tens of thousands of these container ports. But imagine if the cargo was to come from a smaller port. There in the smaller port, the bigger ships can't dock. So what happens that smaller ships from the smaller port, they bring the goods to bigger ports, which are called as transshipment ports. There the containers are transferred from a smaller ship, and they are then transferred to a bigger ship, which can dock only on these transshipment ports, right? So this is why this port becomes very important. Also, this has been developed in a landlord port model, which is a public-private partnership component known as design, build, finance, operate and transfer, that is DBFOT basis. Now, in this landlord port model, what happens that the port authority, which is the port authority of Government of Kerala, it will act as a regulatory body of the port, whereas the port's operation and maintenance, it will be carried out by a private company. So you understand which private company is carrying out the port operations of Vizhinjam port? That is the Adani Ports Company, right? And this is owned and regulated by Government of Kerala. Now, what is a transshipment port? Transshipment port is basically a port which acts as a transit hub where cargo from one ship, which might be a smaller ships coming from smaller islands or smaller ports, they can transfer their goods on to final destination, which the bigger ships from these transshipment port will carry the smaller ships good to final destinations. Now, the goods can come from many other places. It can come from railways, it can come from roads, and it can also come from smaller ports. The part of this transshipment port that these are bigger ports where bigger ships carrying tens and thousands of these containers, they can dock and they can transfer the goods to Indian ports, right? Now, smaller parcels of cargo are loaded into bigger ship, which makes these ships enough to travel to distant ports in other countries. Now, what happened? India did not have a big transshipment port in its own country. So, the transshipment needs of Indian ports, they were handled actually by Colombo and Singapore ports. Now, when we have developed our own transshipment port, why would we be dependent on other foreign ports, right? So, this is the intention why this is a very big development for Indian economy. Now, Why Vizhinjam was chosen to make a transshipment port? Why not elsewhere? Now, there are many reasons to it. First is the strategic location of the Vizhinjam port. Now, if you look at it, Vizhinjam is very located to the southernmost tip of India, very close to the southernmost tip in the state of Kerala. And this area, you can see, it is the area where ships traveling from Mediterranean Sea through Suez Canal, they enter into Indian Ocean through Arabian Sea and they travel through this very route. And Vizhinjam port is located very close to this global shipping route, which allows shipping to happen from continents like Europe and Africa. So when it is very close to major shipping route, that is why it gives it a strategic location, right? Also, I have told you transshipment, earlier our transshipment requirement, they were fulfilled by ports like Colombo, they were fulfilled by ports like Singapore, and hence we were dependent on foreign countries and their ports to meet our transshipment hub. But when located so close to major shipping route, when we construct a strategic location and transshipment port here, automatically our dependence on foreign ports will reduce. And also Vizhinjam has certain kind of natural advantage. Now you understand, bigger ships, they might even stretch few meters below the sea level also. But to accommodate these ships, you need a port which has larger amount of draft. What is a draft? That is the amount of land between the water level and the ultimate sea floor, right? So the larger distance is there between the sea floor and the levels of water, larger is the drought. Now the natural advantage of this port, that the natural drought of this port is 18 meter, which makes it enough for larger ships to be accommodated here. This was not the cases with other Indian ports, right? And also when there is larger amount of drought, the amount of desiltation that otherwise is required on other kind of ports is not required here. That means the operations of bigger ships is also very cheap in this port, right? Also, if you look at the design of this port, it is located inside the water body, right? So, whenever your port is located inside this particular channel, it means directly, in God forbid, if any tsunami activity happens, it won't affect the operations of this port because it is naturally protected by the harbor itself, right? So, this is why this is located in a very strategic part of India, very close to the global shipping routes and naturally protected from any sea level disaster like tsunami, etc. Okay, because the brunt of any waves which might be coming from here would not impact the operations of the port, which is located inside this harbor. Understand? So that is why this port becomes very important. Good evening, Priyanka. Good evening, Shushmita. Good evening, Jai Shri Ram. Now I hope you've understood this port. Now let's see if you are able to solve this particular question quickly. I will hide the ticker so that you can see the last option also. Well, let's see. Vizhinjam port is being developed at India's first mega transshipment container terminal with natural depth to accommodate large container ship. I told you the natural depth or draught, which is called, is 18 meters, which makes it good to accommodate even large container ships. Therefore, first statement is correct. Second, it is located on the eastern coast of India, close to major international shipping routes between Europe and East Asia. This is incorrect. Why? Because it is not located on eastern, rather it is located on the western coast of India, although the second part of the statement is correct. But when this statement is incorrect, because it is not located on eastern, rather on western coast. Now third, as per the Major Ports Authority Act 2021, Vizhinjam is classified as one of India's major port. Now this is incorrect. You know why this is incorrect? Because major ports which are designated under Major Port Authorities Act, you have to remember India has two types of port. One port is called as major port, and the part of major port is that the quality of major port is that they are owned by union government, whereas non-major ports in India, they may be private owned port or they may be state government owned port, right? So as this Vizhinjam port is owned by which government? It is owned by government of Kerala, therefore it is not a major port. So please remember this fact. I put this statement knowingly, okay? So First, second and third incorrect, only first is right. Therefore, option A is the right answer. Yes, Baga, A option is correct. Tara is correct. Shushmita correct. Priyalata, please look at it once again. I hope you've gotten it right. Okay. Now let's move to the second article. This is on the very front page of the newspaper. Front page, I mean the page which carries news. This one, the earlier one was cover page, which is the at the very front. It did not have any news. It only had the advertisement by Government of Kerala. So this is on the very front page of the Indian Express newspaper, and it states that India works to throttle Pak's ability to fund terror by getting it back on the watchdog FATF's grey list, right? And New Delhi to also raise objection on IMF to stop the aid flow to Pakistan. So this is the subject of our today's article. Now let us understand the context. Now, naturally, when the Pahalgam terror attack happened, India had to retaliate somehow. India has many other options. It has diplomatic options. It has military options. So, the first stage of option naturally is the diplomatic stage of option. Military option can happen whenever the condition is sufficient and opportune for it, right? But India right now has to respond. So, it is responding diplomatically. It expunged many of the diplomats of Pakistan. And in addition to that, India is also considering two other specific moves that are aimed to curb the ability of Pakistani government and its deep state to provide finances to the terror activities that happens in its neighborhood, particularly in India. How is India trying to prohibit Pakistan from funding terrorist activity? First is trying to make a concerted effort to try to bring Pakistan back into the grey list of what is known as Financial Action Task Force. So here we'll be discussing about Financial Action Task Force. And the other method that India is trying to do is it is raising objections with the International Monetary Fund, which has continued financing of Pakistan to meet its day-to-day economic activities. That is, IMF is providing a $7 billion aid package to Pakistan, which started in 2024, and India is saying when you are providing loans to Pakistan, Pakistan is using money from this particular loan to fund terrorist activities and conduct terrorist attacks. So therefore, India is trying to grab Pakistan by its neck in order to prevent it from funding terrorist activity. So here we are going to discuss IMF, we are going to discuss FATF, and we'll cover what is relevant in the newspaper also. Okay. First, let us deal with the IMF. Now, this IMF is an intergovernmental body. What do I mean by intergovernmental body? That the member of IMF can only be the respected governments of the country itself. So, World Bank or United Nations can't be a member of FATF, rather India, rather US, rather UK, these countries can be the member. Now, this body has developed standards to prevent and combat money laundering and terror financing. That is why this body is very important if you have to deal with illegal financing, okay, and it is headquartered in the city of Paris in France. Now, the background of this body is that it was established back in 1989 during the G7 summit in order to develop policies against the money laundering. Now, you know what is the sure shot method to control any kind of illegal activity? That we need to stop its financing, because money is behind everything. We can stop the weapons from being transferred between one country to another country. It is not difficult. We can even stop people from moving one country to another country. But it is quite difficult to stop illegal financing from getting transferred from one account into other account. And we have seen people living across the border, they fund terrorist activities just by sending the money. So it is the original source of terrorism is actually the money which is being exchanged hands between the governments and the terrorists, right? So we need to control the flow of illicit financing. Now, the objective of this body was to establish international standards and to develop and promote policies both at national and international level so as to combat the problems of money laundering and terrorist financing. So how FATF does that? Let us try to understand it. Now, first, let us try to understand which all bodies are the members of FATF. Total 40 members are there of FATF, which includes 38 countries and 2 organizations, which includes European Union and Gulf Cooperation Council. Major countries that are members of FATF: US, India, China, Saudi, UK, Germany, France. India became the member of FATF only in 2010. Now, is Pakistan the member of FATF? The answer is incorrect. Rather, Pakistan is a member of a subunit or a subgroup of FATF known as Asia, APG, Asia Pacific grouping, right? Asia Pacific grouping is a subgrouping of FATF which also deals with anti-terrorism financing and anti-money laundering. Okay, so Pakistan technically is not a member of FATF, but as it is a member of subgroup of an FATF, it has to adhere to the regulations of FATF, right? Now let's see how FATF controls these kind of problems. First, what it does, it sets standards and methods how to control terrorist financing and money laundering. And if the country does not adhere to its standards, the FATF has the ability to put these countries into grey list and blacklist. Now grey list, it includes countries that are considered to have a weak anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regime. So if their regulations, their laws, their enforcement is not good in order to control these menace, these countries will be listed as a grey listed country. Now this inclusion serves as a warning to the country that please adhere to us, otherwise we will blacklist you. So what does blacklisting means? Now blacklisting, it includes countries which are considered as safe havens for supporting money laundering and terror funding, and presently countries like Iran, North Korea and Myanmar, they are currently under the FATF blacklist. I am surprised that Pakistan, which is the most dangerous country when it comes to promoting terrorism across the world, is not listed in blacklist, but this is it, right? So grey list is something of a warning, and if the country still does not adhere to what has been taught by FATF, it will be put in blacklist. So India is wanting to get Pakistan listed here, so eventually it can be blacklisted also. Okay, now what happens if a country is put into FATF grey list, right? So countries which face are in grey list, they face increased monitoring till they are removed from the grey list, because otherwise all the attention of the FATF turns into the grey listed countries, that please change your regulations, please change your how implementation of these regulations happen on ground, please change your criminal justice system so that the perpetrators responsible for money laundering and terrorist financing, they are punished by your justice system. This should take place. So being in this list, it actually impacts foreign direct investment and capital flows in the countries, because otherwise businesses, they have to undertake enhanced due diligence, and otherwise if a country is in grey list, the businesses would be afraid to invest in those countries. So it actually impacts these countries economically, and this is the intention of India also, to make Pakistan suffer economically. Also, what happens when a country is blacklisted? So if a country is blacklisted, no financial help will be given to those countries by international organizations like IMF, like World Bank, like Asian Development Bank, European Union, etc. And they also face number of international economic and financial restrictions and sanctions. So being in a FATF blacklist is something no country would want, okay, and it will cripple its economy. Now, what is the process if India wants to get Pakistan grey listed? Now, to initiate the nomination process demanding that Pakistan should be put in a grey listing, naturally India would also require support of other members of FATF. Now, as many countries have desired the actually, they felt sorry that India was under the attack, so India is expecting that many of its allies would cooperate in this regard. Now, this nomination process in FATF, it is based on specific money laundering and terrorist financing, so India would have to provide evidences that Pakistani government and its entities are literally involved in such kind of activities, and when this evidence will be put in the floors of FATF, this needs to be approved by what is known as plenary of FATF. Now, plenary is the decision making body of FATF, which meets 3 times a year, usually in the months of February, June and October, and when the next meeting of plenary would happen, India would present the evidences that Pakistan is involved in terrorist financing, so please get it grey listed, and if supported by other countries, Pakistan will indeed be put in grey listing. Okay. Now, second part of this article deals with International Monetary Fund. So first, let us understand International Monetary Fund. Then we'll understand how India would want to control funding of Pakistan through IMF. Now, IMF is a specialized agency of the United Nations, which was founded in the Bretton Woods Conference in 1994. It is headquartered in the capital city of US, that is Washington DC, and the members of this IMF, it includes 190 countries including India, and the feature of IMF is that it grants loans only to the countries which are member countries, and there are various important lending facilities through which IMF extend loans. These are called as extended fund facility. This is where Pakistan has been provided with loan, rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facility. Here Sri Lanka was provided with loans. Okay, so we'll be dealing with extended fund facility here. Also, there are many important reports that have been published by IMF. These include World Economic Outlook, which is a biannual report analyzing global economic trends and forecasts, and Global Financial Stability Report, which focuses on global financial markets and assesses its risk of financial stability. So these please you have to remember for your prelims perspective. Now let's see how India has raised objection with IMF. Now India is also considering to raise objections with IMF because in July 2024, IMF has reached a 3-year $7 billion aid deal with Pakistan under the extended fund facility. Now this is a 37-month long process wherein transactions or in installments IMF will provide loans to Pakistan. But in between these transactions, Pakistan would have to fulfill certain objectives or conditionalities that have been imposed by IMF, and the release of next installment will only be based on the fact that if Pakistan meets the conditionalities imposed by IMF. So it consists of 6 reviews over the life of the bailout, that is over 37 months 6 reviews will happen, and the release of next tranche, which is approximately of $1 billion, will be contingent on the success of performance review of the Pakistan, and India is likely to raise objection citing that Pakistan has diverted these funds as against economic purposes and it is using it for nefarious activities and terrorist attacks, right? So this is what we are dealing with today. Now let's see if you are able to solve these questions that have appeared in the UPSC prelims. First question deals with which appeared in 2014 prelims. Yes, IMF, this is a report by IMF. Another question again appeared in 2016. I was watching Mission Impossible yesterday. That also has IMF, Impossible Mission Force, which does not exist. It's a fictional body. IMF for us aspirants means International Monetary Fund. Yes, this also is IMF, option B. Let's see, you can solve the next question. This is a 2022 PYQ. You know why this question appeared in 2022? Because IMF has signed a deal with Sri Lanka to provide its loan to meet its balance of payment crisis, right? So that is why IMF is the right answer. Now let's see if you are able to solve this practice question. Now, FATF is an intergovernmental body headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. Obviously incorrect. It is headquartered in Paris. Right. It sets global standards to combat money laundering and financing terror. India is a full member of FATF and it participates in global efforts to curb financial crimes. This is correct. Countries of the FATF blacklist face financial restrictions from international institutions. Also correct. So, first is incorrect. Second and third is right. Option C is the right answer. I don't know why Amar is laughing. Now let us move to this third article. This appeared in the 5th page of the Indian Express and you can see there are 3 articles. It talks about the WAVE summit which happened in Mumbai, which started in Mumbai yesterday, right? Now let's see the context of this article. WAVES actually is the acronym for World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit and it was kicked off yesterday in Mumbai by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who highlighted WAVES is not merely an acronym but a wave representing culture, creativity and universal connectivity. Now, famous notable participants of the media and industry, that is actor Shah Rukh Khan, Deepika Padukone, Rajnikant, Chiranjeevi, Mohanlal, Alia Bhatt, all of them were the speakers at the event and they have promoted in recent days across their social media. So that is why overall buzz relating to this particular summit was quite high, as it was promoted also by the famous people in the media and industry. Now let's understand few of the details about WAVE Summit. Now this is a key forum for promoting discussions, collaborations and innovations in the field of media and entertainment industry. This event, it brings together industry leaders, other stakeholders and innovators so that they discuss prospects, challenge and promote global trade and influence in sector's future. Now, you know, art is something which is not bound by political boundaries. You need people to interact among themselves, people belonging to different fields, people belonging to science, people belonging to animation, people belonging to technology, people belonging to music. Each and every vocation that represents art in one form or the other, they need to collaborate so that new arts can happen, new fusion between different sections of art happen, so that we receive newer innovations in this regard. So this is what is intended by Wave Summit. Now this Wave Summit, it's the inaugural summit, it has the slogan connecting creators and connecting countries, and it is held by Government of India, which is held at Geo Convention Center in Mumbai for the period of 4 days. Now it includes panel discussions and provide opportunities to those in media and entertainment industry to connect, and over 100 leading exhibitors, not just the production companies of Bollywood, but also big technology companies like Netflix, like Amazon, like YouTube, like Meta, Sony, Reliance, Adobe, Tata, Balaji Telefilms, Dharma Productions, all of them, they are participating in this summit. So understand, going forward, technology would play a key role when it comes to media and entertainment industry, because from the most popular of them all, the movies of the Marvel comics, you'd see these movies are shot not just with actors, but on the background a large amount of special effects and visual effects happen. And how that happen? Due to the developments in the technology sector, right? So you need collaboration between these two. Also, the way we consume media has also changed, because earlier we used to go to cinema halls to watch movies, we used to buy cassettes and CDs to listen to music. You all are pretty young to understand this, but this has changed entirely. Now music is available on our mobile phones on streaming platforms. Similarly, we can even watch movies on the streaming platforms like Netflix, like Amazon Prime, or any other OTT platforms. So this has created a lot of churn in the media industry, and media industry would have to adopt that in order to become receptible to technology, not just in movie making, but also how you deliver your content. Okay, so this is why interaction between industry, interaction between technological companies and media houses and production houses needs to be done, and government has taken a record in that. Also, important initiatives were started in Wave Summit. First is Waves Bazaar, which is built as a global e-marketplace for creators across various industries, including film, TV, music, animation, gaming, comics, to showcase their work, pitch projects, and establish meaningful business to business relationship. Now suppose you want to make a movie, but you need a story for that, so you need to connect with some script writer. You also need a background music in that, so you need a musician or a music director to compose background music. You need actors, so you need to take audition, and this Waves Bazaar will actually provide a platform so that businesses and other entities or stakeholders can interact among themselves. Similarly, there's a WaveX or Wave Accelerator, which is a startup program featuring live pitching by early stage Indian startups in media and entertainment, and this sectors like animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, extended reality. So deals broadly with media and industry, not just film industry. Okay, now why is media and industry important in India? Now, as of 2024, media and entertainment industry's total value in India was around 2.5 lakh crore rupees, which amounts to very close to $29.4 billion. Now, according to the government's agency Invest India, it has highlighted that this industry is growing at an annual growth rate of 10% between 2023 and 24, and this is expected to become a $50 billion marketplace by 2029, which is due to expanding India's footprint in global entertainment economy. Now, this film industry or arts also represents your ability to soft power. Now, in terms of the size of the population, Korea or South Korea for that matter is very small to India. But understand the popularity of K-pop, understand the popularity of Korean drama shows and Korean movies, right? It has become so wide that it has increased the overall soft power of Korea. Similarly, if we can harness our own soft power and project it to other countries, not just to US and places where Indians live, our ability to garner those markets would increase, right? So our media industry needs to be ready for that. And what are the technological factors which is driving the growth in India's media and entertainment industries? Is expanding coverage of digital services. With the use of your mobile phones, with the use of your internet, you can easily watch movies and stream music. So naturally, whenever globally the digital services are expanding, so people can be receptive to your arts also if you are providing good quality content to them. Similarly, technological advancements have happened so that high quality movies can be streamed with a very pivotal net connection, and also when you have a young population, your domestic demand for such content is high. But there are other challenges that is faced by Indian industry. First is there were over 1600 films that were released in 2024, but the overall people who are watching these movies in theaters or in multiplexes, they have declined. Only 11 Hindi films have grossed 100 crore rupees, which was down from 17 in 2023, again not a good number. Total revenues that were collected by the movies had dropped 5% to just 18,700 crore, and both digital and satellite rights, it fell by 10% because broadcasting and OTT platforms, they are focusing more on profitability. So the amount of money that they are paying to the production houses so that they are streaming the movies on them, they have reduced. So this is the challenges that the people are saying. And if you read the speech that was given by Shah Rukh Khan, he has also said that going forward we need cheaper theaters and cheaper movie tickets so that more and more people visit multiplexes, more and more people visit theaters and watch the movies, so that they are able to get profit out of this business. Okay. Now, the May evening batch, the admissions to this batch has started, and this batch will start from 7th of May. But before that, please make sure to take your admissions. You can take admissions in either of these three courses, Gold, Platinum or Diamond. Diamond has all the options and all the features that are available on the StudyIQ platform. Platinum and Gold have some of the features. What are the features available in Diamond, not available in Gold and Platinum? You can see from this slide. I'll upload the notes. Now, if you want to take admissions to the course, what you need to do, go to our website. When you go to our website, this is the website, okay. Now click on explore courses here. When you click on explore courses here, this tile will take you to the UPSC IS English option where the courses are available exclusively in English batches, right? Now what you need to do, click on first tile, and right now it says 40,999 is the course fees that you need to pay for Diamond batches. But let me tell you a way where you can get discounts even on this amount. What you need to do is, the code is flashing on the bottom half of the screen saying use the code ATS Live. You need to apply just that. Click on buy now. Here you can add the promo code, write ATS Live here, and click on apply. When you click on apply, see the discount of rupees 7,000 is available, and the Diamond course is available at 33,999. Similarly, Platinum at 29,999 and Gold at 19,999. My recommendation to you is take Diamond batches because all the features are available. And if you clear the prelims examination, your course fees will be refunded entirely. Okay, so please make sure to do that, and do not forget to add the code ATS Live because it gets you the discount. And who would not want to save money? Okay. Now let us move to another article. This talks about National Security Advisory Board, which has been reconstituted recently, and a former Research and Analysis Wing Chief, India's external intelligence agency, he has been appointed as the chairman of the National Security Advisory Board. Now let us understand the context. Now government has reorganized. It has not been appointed for the first time. NSAB already existed. It has reorganized the composition with Mr. Alok Joshi, who is the former chief, or the secretary R as it is called, of the Research and Analysis Wing, which is India's external intelligence agency, and he has been appointed as the chairman, and induction of 7 new members have happened to this particular body. Now this move was undertaken in last few days, and it is coming on the background of the tensions that is increased between India and Pakistan due to the Pahalgam terror attack. Now about this body, this is actually an advisory body, which is quite obvious from its name also. Now this body, it provides inputs to what is known as National Security Council Secretariat. This council secretariat functions under the Prime Minister's office in India. Now this NSAB, it comprises of group of eminent national security experts who are outside the government. Now these are usually the senior members who are earlier the members of the government. Now they have become retired. So this comprises of senior retired officials and also civilians and military experts, all of them who have been retired, who have expertise in internal and external security, foreign affairs, defense, science and tech, and economic affairs, and they constitute what is known as the National Security Advisory Committee. So what you need to remember, this has eminent national security experts who are outside the government, which means civilians and even the former government officials who have now been retired. Okay. Now what this body does, This body undertakes long-term analysis and provides perspective on the national securities issue and submits them to the National Security Council Secretariat. Okay, and it also recommends measures and solutions and also policy options on the issues which are referred to it by the National Security Council, right? So the organization structure where NSAB and NCSC functions, you can look at it. At the top, at the apex level, is the Prime Minister, and under him is the National Security Advisor. National Security Advisor, NSAB reports to him. National Security Council, which consists of all other ministries responsible, they also report to NSA, and these are the other office holders. These people might have been retired, but the organization structure remains the same. Okay. Now, in NSAB, only the retired members are there. If the government wants to enlist the functions of non-retired members, they can be added to the National Security Council. Okay, Tara? So, the purpose of NSAB is to enlist help of people who are outside the government, so that we take also the outside view of the government, because government officials are also present in the other organs of the structure organization, right? So, you need help from outside also. Now, let's see if you are able to solve this particular question. Now, it is a statutory body that functions under Ministry of Defence and comprises only of serving government officials. This is incorrect. It serves as an apex authority for policy recommendation and approval on national security issue matters. Now, I see how I played you with this particular statement. It is responsible for policy recommendation, but does it have the ability to approve the policy? No. Who approves the policy related to national security? Cabinet Committee of Security, which we dealt with yesterday. Right? So, both statements are incorrect. Therefore, option D is the right answer. Yes, Reshma, you have gotten it right. Now, let's move to the another article. This one actually appeared in the yesterday's newspaper, but since we did not have time yesterday, so I am covering it today. There are many important articles in today's newspaper also. If I would have covered all of them, it would have taken 2 hours. So, I will cover rest of them tomorrow. Okay, need not worry. Let us deal with this article which appeared yesterday on page 21, and it is relevant from modern history perspective because it deals with the sword of a person who belonged to the Maratha Confederacy, particularly the Bhonsles, right, who were the rulers of Nagpur. Now, let's see why this is a news. Recently, the Maharashtra government, it purchased the historic sword of Raghuji Bhonsle at an auction which was conducted in the city of London. Now, it is quite wondering in nature that many important artifacts and important stuff belonging to other country, they always have a way to find themselves in London. So, the perils of British Empire, this is what we are seeing. Now, the big question is, who was actually Raghuji Raj Bhonsle the first? Now, Raghuji Raj Bhonsle the first was the important figure in the 18th century Maratha century. In particularly, he was backed by then ruler of the Maratha Confederacy, Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj in 1728, and with the help of Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj, he challenged his own uncle Kanoji Bhonsle to ascend to the throne of Nagpur. Now, he won a major victory in the siege of Bham, which happened in 1730, and it turned a point which helped him solidify his power on the throne of Nagpur. Understand? So, these are important. I don't know why Reshma and Priyalatta are laughing. Shushmita is also laughing. I don't understand why. Now, let's see key contributions made by. Yes, London is getting all the exploits and making money, and even today, all the mischief makers, all the people who have conducted financial fraud like Vijay Mallya, like Nirav Modi, they automatically crop up in London. Very, very surprising. To a country that holds themselves responsible for implementing rule of law across the world, London surprisingly or UK surprisingly has the ability to house all the criminals. Now, let's see who are the key contributors of Raghuraj Bhonsle. Now, he captured Odisha in 1751 after a treaty with then Nawab of Bengal Alivardi Khan, and after taking control of Odisha, he also played a pivotal role in reviving the Sri Jagannath temple activities in Puri, right? Similarly, he led campaigns in Bengal between 1745 and 1755, and therefore his tenure, the Marathas were able to expand their control to eastern states like Bihar, like West Bengal, like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, which also is in the central part of India. So you see how Maratha kingdom expanded from the western part and southern parts of the country, eventually to north, east and central part of our country. Okay. Now, about Nagpur's Bhonsle. Now, Nagpur Bhonsle was a royal clan belonging to Maratha Confederacy. Other royal clans were Peshwas, they were ruling Pune. Now, it is called as Pune. Holkars, they were ruling the kingdom of Indore. Sindhyas, they were ruling the kingdom of Gwalior. And Gayakwads, they were ruling what was the kingdom of Baroda. So, these were the parts of the Maratha Confederacy. So, Maratha Confederacy also acted in a way of current federal system of the government, where different kingdoms were responsible of managing their own territory, but they recognized the ultimate supremacy of the Chhatrapati and their respective lineages, right? Now, they were also known as Hinganikar due to their ancestral connection with the Hingani region near Pune. And Bhonsle, they played an important role in expansion of Maratha Empire in the central and eastern part of the India, which I have already told you. Okay, so please remember, during the time of Bhonsle's, particularly Raghuji Raj Bhonsle the first, the Maratha Confederacy expanded from western part of the country, that is in the regions of Deccan and Maharashtra, to the central and eastern part of our country. Now, why was Sword actually left the domestic territory of India? Now, after the Battle of Sitabuldi, which happened in 1817, the Britishers, they defeated the Nagpur Bhonsles, and Bhonsle Palace was looted and treasuries, including weapons, they were taken by the British. And this sword may have been looted war treasure or a gift to the British officials during or on after the defeat, and that is why this sword actually found itself not in Nagpur but in London. Now see, they are selling us our own heritage. But since it is so important for us to have our own control on the heritage, we are actually spending taxpayers' money to buy these heritage, which originally should have been in India only, should not have left the domestic territory of India. Now let's see. Sorry, this is not a PYQ. Do not get it mistaken. This is a question I have curated. Sorry, this is not a PYQ. Let's see if you are able to solve this question. Well, you can't expect thieves and plunderers to have honor, right? British Kingdom was essentially that. Well, he was supported by Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj in his conflict against Kanoji Bhonsle in 1728, correct? He captured Odisha after defeating Nawab Alivardi Khan and later contributed to the revival of Jagannath Temple in Puri, correct? Right, his military campaigns were largely confined to the Deccan region, avoiding Bengal and eastern territories, obviously incorrect. So, option A is right. All of you have gotten this correctly, yes. Now moving to the last article of the day, you see this is an article I have taken from PIB, and why I have taken it, I will show you the questions and you will understand why. Now the Prime Minister, he has paid a tribute to Jagadguru Basaveshwara on the occasion of Baswa Jayanti, right? Now Prime Minister Modi, he actually pays tribute to the important figures that existed in India, and naturally this should be done by any Prime Minister of the country who represents the interest of entire country. So in this regard, he has paid a tribute to Jagadguru Basaveshwara on the occasion of Baswa Jayanti, right? So in this regard, this historical figure and his contribution to the Indian art and culture, to Indian society becomes important. Now in 2022, two questions appeared in prelims. First one was related to Ramanuja, and why this question was asked? Because Prime Minister Modi inaugurated his second tallest statue that is constructed. Similarly, Prime Minister Modi went to Somnath Temple and a question appeared on Somnath Temple. So when two questions solely based on the activities of Indian Prime Minister was asked in prelims, similarly when he has extended his wishes to Basaveshwara, so the teachings and important aspects about the life of Basaveshwara also can be asked in prelims, right? So we need to understand this. Now Jagadguru Basaveshwara was a 12th century Kannada social reformer, poet and philosopher who was born in 1131 AD in Begwadi in Karnataka in a Brahmin family. Now he founded what is known as Lingayat or Veer Shavya movement in Karnataka. Lingayat is the sect where many people are known for, and this is a very dominant community in Karnataka, both culturally, economically and also politically. Now, he was known for bringing Vachan literature. He composed over 600 Vachanas, which were short, powerful, poetic verses in the language of Kannada. Okay. Now, his important teachings. He said that there should be a personal spiritual experience among everyone. He advocated for direct devotion to Lord Shiva through wearing Ishtaling, promoting a personal connection with the divine without the participation of priestly class, right? Even though he belonged to the Brahminic family, he even advocated personal connection between you and the god, that was Lord Shiva. Similarly, he pronounced or he advocated for an ethical living, which means Baswa introduced the concept of kayak, which was dignity in labor, and dashoha, which was sharing one's earning, encouraging individuals to earn through honest means and share it with your community. So that is why India's entire society is not an individualist society. India's society is a communistic society, which means a person does not exist individually. Rather, he interacts with others members of the community, which allows him to shape himself, and also other people are shaped by his also opinion. So you can't live in an individual, so whatever you are getting, that might also be because of the community, so you have to return them back. Okay. Similarly, he provided for social equality as he rejected caste system and rituals, promoting a more egalitarian society where everyone is equal, where all individuals regarding of their caste or gender had equal access to spiritual practices. And this is very important because in medieval and ancient India, women, they generally were prohibited from practicing in the religious activities, and his teaching actually went a long way in promoting women's participation in spiritual and religious activities. Similarly, Baswa's teaching, they were very revolutionary, advocated for a society based on equality, compassion and direct personal devotion rather than ritualistic practices and hierarchical structures, which actually has plagued Indian society. Also, what you need to remember, he also established Anubhav Mantapa, which was a democratic spiritual parliament in Kalyan, and he included saints from all castes, including women. And his social contribution was that he strongly opposed caste discrimination, gender inequality and untouchability, and he supported women's participation in the spiritual life. This I have already told you. And his key belief, what you need to remember, is kayak, which work as worship, and dashoha, which means equal distribution of wealth. Understood? Now let's see if you are able to solve this question. I've curated this very similar to the question in 2022 that appeared on Ramanuja Saint. Okay. So please let me know the correct answer quickly. I hope you should get it right. This is a very easy question which I have curated. Bhanu says option B. Others, Sarang B, B. Yes, option B is the correct answer. Now let's see if you are able to solve this one. Now this world's tallest standing statue of Basaveshwara, measuring 111 feet, was inaugurated in Gadag district in Karnataka somewhere in 2017 or 18. But do not forget, question might still come on it. So what is the teaching of Basva here? I'll get out of your way. Yes, option C is the right answer. Okay. So this is all for our today's session. You can download the notes here. That is ATS Live Telegram channel. We'll see each other again tomorrow at 4 also. So until then, please have a very good evening and a very pleasant good night. Okay. See you all.